The courtroom fell completely silent when the judge read the case title aloud. A woman was suing the only person who had spent the last 12 years raising her 3 children. The same sister who had disappeared after saying she would be gone for just 1 hour was demanding custody, money, and the family home she had never helped build. Gasps echoed through the room as old photographs were placed on the table, showing 3 frightened little children clinging to the woman they had learned to call Mom. No one expected what the final piece of evidence would reveal, and by the time the truth surfaced, there was hardly a dry eye left in the courtroom. If you believe kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a thoughtful comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. 12 years earlier, everything had seemed ordinary on a bright spring morning. Claire Bennett was preparing breakfast in her small suburban home when her younger sister, Vanessa Hartley, pulled into the driveway with 3 children squeezed into the back seat. 8-year-old Owen carried a faded dinosaur backpack, 6-year-old Hazel hugged a stuffed rabbit with one missing ear, and 3-year-old little Miles held a juice box almost as large as his tiny hands. Vanessa looked exhausted, her clothes wrinkled, her smile forced, and her eyes heavy with worry. She apologized for arriving without calling and explained that she had an important meeting across town. She promised she would only be gone for 1 hour and begged Claire to watch the children. Claire hesitated because she had work waiting, bills piling up, and barely enough room in her modest home, but the frightened expressions on the children's faces made the decision for her. She hugged her sister, kissed each child on the forehead, and watched the car disappear around the corner. An hour passed. Then 2. Then the entire afternoon. Claire kept checking her phone. Every passing minute filled her with growing anxiety. She called Vanessa repeatedly, but every call went unanswered. By sunset, panic replaced patience. She contacted hospitals, police stations, and every friend of her sister she could think of. No one had seen Vanessa. Her apartment was empty except for unpaid bills and scattered belongings. It was as though she had simply vanished from the world. The next few weeks became a blur of paperwork, interviews, sleepless mornings, and difficult conversations. Authorities searched but found no trace of Vanessa. Claire was told to prepare for the possibility that her sister had intentionally disappeared. Those words felt impossible to believe. No mother could willingly leave behind 3 children who cried themselves to sleep every day, asking when mommy was coming home. Life changed in ways Claire never imagined. She sold many of her belongings to make room for 3 growing children. She accepted a second job cleaning offices during the afternoons while working remotely in the mornings. Every dollar went toward food, school supplies, doctor visits, and clothes that seemed to become too small every few months. There were days when she skipped meals so the children could have seconds. There were birthdays when homemade cakes replaced expensive gifts, yet the children laughed as though they had received everything in the world because Claire made each celebration feel magical. The hardest moments were never financial. They were emotional. Owen blamed himself, believing he had done something wrong. Hazel cried every Mother's Day because every classroom activity reminded her of the woman who never came back. Little Miles eventually stopped asking about his biological mother altogether. Without anyone realizing it, he began introducing Claire as his mom whenever strangers asked. The first time Claire heard it, she walked into another room and cried quietly, not because she wanted to replace Vanessa, but because she understood what that simple word truly meant to a little boy searching for safety. Years slowly transformed pain into routine. Claire never spoke badly about Vanessa. She framed old family photographs so the children would know where they came from. She encouraged them to remember the happy memories instead of dwelling on abandonment. Every birthday she secretly hoped Vanessa might appear at the front door with an explanation that would somehow make everything understandable. Every year that hope faded a little more. The children grew into remarkable young people. Owen became fascinated by engineering after spending weekends repairing broken bicycles with a retired neighbor. Hazel discovered a love for music and volunteered at children's hospitals, believing every frightened child deserved comfort. Miles developed an incredible talent for painting, covering old canvases with colorful scenes of family standing together beneath bright skies. Their teachers admired their kindness, neighbors praised their manners, and everyone who met them assumed Claire had been their mother since birth. 12 years after that unforgettable morning, Claire's quiet life was interrupted by a knock on the door. Standing on the porch was Vanessa. She looked healthier than Claire remembered. Expensive clothes replaced the worn outfits she used to wear. Her hair was carefully styled, and a luxury vehicle waited in the driveway. Yet despite the polished appearance, her eyes carried the weight of years filled with secrets. The children stared in stunned silence. None of them moved. Owen recognized her immediately. Hazel looked between the photographs on the wall and the unfamiliar woman standing before them. Miles, now 15, simply asked who she was. Those 4 words struck Vanessa harder than any accusation ever could. Claire welcomed her inside despite the overwhelming emotions. She hoped there would finally be answers. Perhaps there had been an illness, a kidnapping, or some unimaginable tragedy. Instead, Vanessa admitted she had chosen to leave. She claimed she had been overwhelmed, drowning in debt, and convinced herself that starting over was the only path to survival. She moved overseas, built a successful business, married a wealthy investor, and eventually decided she was ready to reconnect with the children she had abandoned. No apology could erase 12 years. The children listened quietly. Owen left the room without saying a word. Hazel wept silently while clutching the necklace Claire had given her on her 16th birthday. Miles stood beside Claire as though instinctively protecting her. Vanessa soon revealed another reason for returning. Her lawyer believed she had legal grounds to regain custody of the youngest child while also claiming rights to a family property that Claire had inherited from their late grandmother. When Claire refused, Vanessa filed a lawsuit. The news spread quickly through their town. Neighbors who had watched Claire sacrifice everything could hardly believe what was happening. Former teachers, doctors, coaches, and social workers volunteered to testify about the children's upbringing. Hundreds of photographs documented birthdays, graduations, school plays, family picnics, volunteer projects, and countless ordinary afternoons filled with love rather than wealth. The courtroom became a place where memories carried more weight than legal arguments. Vanessa's attorneys focused on biology. They insisted blood relationships deserved priority. Claire's legal team focused on actions instead of genetics. They presented 12 years of school records signed by Claire, medical consent forms, tax documents, counseling reports, and letters written by each child describing the woman who had never stopped showing up for them. Then came the testimony that changed everything. Owen, now 20, described watching Claire collapse from exhaustion after working 2 jobs while still helping him build a science fair project. He explained how she sold the only piece of jewelry their grandmother had left her so he could attend an engineering summer program that changed his future forever. Hazel spoke next. She described the years of panic attacks caused by abandonment and how Claire patiently sat beside her through every counseling session without missing a single appointment. She admitted she had once asked why Claire never adopted them officially. Claire had answered that she never wanted them to think she was trying to erase their mother, only protect them until life made sense again. Finally, Miles approached the witness stand. He carried a large painting wrapped carefully in protective paper. When he uncovered it, the courtroom grew completely still. The painting showed 3 frightened children standing alone beside an empty road while one woman walked away into the distance. Another woman ran toward them with open arms. Above the second woman, written in careful handwriting, were the words, "Family is the person who stays." Miles explained that he had painted it years earlier during therapy. He admitted he barely remembered Vanessa. Every meaningful memory he possessed involved Claire teaching him to ride a bicycle, helping with homework, comforting him through illnesses, applauding at school performances, and reminding him every single day that he mattered. The judge quietly wiped away tears before asking one final question. If given the choice, where did he believe his home truly was? Miles answered without hesitation. Home was wherever Claire happened to be. Those words echoed through the courtroom long after he sat down. Then came one final surprise. Claire's attorney presented an unopened envelope discovered among their grandmother's belongings after her passing. It contained a handwritten letter explaining that the family home was intentionally left to Claire because she had always been the dependable daughter who placed others before herself. Their grandmother wrote that true inheritance belonged to the person willing to carry responsibility rather than simply claim reward. Vanessa lowered her head. For the first time since returning, she appeared to understand the full weight of what she had lost. The judge ruled entirely in Claire's favor. Vanessa's claims were dismissed. The court acknowledged that while biology could never be erased, parenthood was proven every single day through sacrifice, consistency, and unconditional love. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded the family, expecting celebration or anger. Instead, Claire simply thanked everyone who had supported them and asked for privacy. Weeks later, something unexpected happened. Vanessa wrote handwritten letters to each child without asking for anything in return. She admitted every mistake she had made. She accepted that forgiveness could never be demanded. It could only be offered freely. Months passed before Owen replied with a brief note wishing her peace. Hazel eventually agreed to meet for coffee in a public place, hoping healing might begin one careful step at a time. Miles chose not to meet yet, explaining that forgiveness was growing in his heart but needed more time. Claire encouraged each decision without pressure. She reminded them that forgiveness did not require forgetting, nor did it require reopening wounds before they were ready to heal. One sunny afternoon, the family gathered in the backyard for a celebration. Owen had accepted his first engineering position. Hazel was preparing for graduate school in music therapy. Miles had won a statewide art competition with a collection inspired by resilience and hope. As laughter filled the warm afternoon air, Claire looked around the table and realized that none of these moments had been guaranteed. Every joyful memory had been built through thousands of ordinary choices to keep showing up, even when life felt impossibly difficult. Before we reach the end of this story, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave a meaningful comment telling us what you believe defines a real parent: blood, sacrifice, love, or simply the courage to stay when life becomes hardest. As the years continued, the pain of abandonment slowly transformed into gratitude for the family they had created together. Vanessa remained a distant part of their lives, learning that rebuilding trust required patience rather than promises. Claire never considered herself extraordinary. She believed she had simply done what love demanded on the day 3 frightened children needed someone to say yes. Yet to Owen, Hazel, and Miles, that single decision had changed the course of their entire lives forever. They understood that family was not always the one that began your story. Sometimes it was the one that refused to leave before the final page. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. May we all remember that the greatest measure of love is not found in the promises we make but in the promises we faithfully keep, one ordinary day at a time.